Coach, we haven't talked to you since the basketball reunion in August. Can you walk us through the emotions of that weekend?
Oh, wow. It's so crazy because it hadn't been that long ago, but it seems like it was a long time ago. I love getting the former players back and having some structure in what we're doing. I loved being at the golf course, hitting the tee shot for everybody that came through. That way I got to see everybody that was on the course. Seeing the pickup games on Saturday morning was fun. Seeing Joe Wolf go in there and try to say he was going to go up and down the court 2 or 3 more times, but I think he actually went 5 or 6. That was fun. The Friday night deal was, it's hard for me to even talk about it, the court thing, because it's very flattering. I almost lost it when the little boys pulled back the cover off of it, and just to see them involved was something that I loved. But I really enjoyed the entire weekend, and having the kids and grandkids over at Keenan and them playing in the jump pit and everything else. It was just a fantastic weekend, and one that I'll remember for a long, long time, and having my family here, and particularly the little boys, was pretty nice.
Going back a little farther, how much did being a high school coach influence your coaching in college?
I would think a great deal. I think every year, I've learned some things, thrown some things away, decided to add some things, but getting my high school team to be willing to pay the price to work in the off season, because when I went to Owen High School, it wasn't a great basketball school. Principal told me, said, we've gone 6 straight years winning less than 6 games, and I said, well, I'll change that. So I did. I stretched it to 7. But getting the kids all the way down in the elementary schools to come in and being involved in our Saturday morning youth clinics every year. I remember a bunch of kids that I had as 4th graders. The very first year when they were seniors at Owen, they played for the state championship. So that part was something that I still do today. Is that trying to get kids to be willing to pay the price in the off season, and we want to beat people, sweat more. And I've lived by that philosophy really my whole life, and I think that started with high school coaching.
What's been the toughest part of the adjustment, going into the season without Joel Berry and Theo Benson there for you?
You make those adjustments every year. No question, I liked having Joel and Theo out there and the experience they had and the toughness that Joel had and the way that Theo put every moment, made it fun. But that team is gone, so I don't sit back. I missed Marcus and Bryce, and when I say that, I never thought after the first couple of years I'd ever say I was going to miss Bryce, but I missed him immensely. But I think with each and every team, it's a new team, and you go from there. And it doesn't do you any good to think about so-and-so. I pull on those experiences to help the team and to talk to the team about them. But, now I'm just wanting Joel and Theo to make it, and hopefully we'll win a couple of games too.
Can you see the value of the Bahamas trip now, or is that something that maybe shows up later?
I think it's both. I think we've already seen some of it, but I think it really will continue to show up too. Competition wasn't quite at the level we had hoped it was going to be, and we've been there before and had some good competition. But I think that was the only missing thing, but we did it more to get our team together and travel together and try to start building team chemistry just as much as we did for the X's and O's on the court, and so I think we'll continue to see that.
Coach, what stands out about this current group?
We've only had 6 or 7 full practices, so it's hard to say yet. Deep in the back of your mind, you got 3 seniors who played a lot of basketball, averaging double figures. You asked them to play in big moments, and so they know what that is. You got 3 freshmen who are very gifted, who are give you the new enthusiasm that I always talk about. And the guys in between, you hope they've gotten better. We sat down in spring and talked to every player individually about what we wanted to work on, and I told them after 15 to 20 practices this fall, I'd sit down and tell them where I thought they'd really worked on it. So it's a good mix. I'd like for somebody to step forward in a couple of areas more so than we have so far, but like I say, we've only had maybe, I don't even remember, 6 or 7 practices so far since we got back.
What have you liked so far from the freshmen?
What have I
What
liked?
have you liked so far from what the freshmen done in those practices?
First thing you love is their talent. I mean, they're gifted. There's no question about that. I think playing in Nassau gave us an opportunity to see them in game action that a lot of times you don't have. But again, that was the competition wasn't very good, and you don't beat people by 85 unless it's a team of me and 4 of you guys. They could beat by 85, or 80, whatever it was. But their talent, their work ethic, their mental preparation, they did a great job in summer school, got very, very good grades, so I don't worry about that. I mean, they've really put me at ease, and I know that they're going to step up and be able to play for us. So there are no negatives whatsoever, but Nasir got a tremendous amount of publicity, and he's tremendously athletic and wants to be really good. Kobe got a little less publicity, but is really gifted and plays really hard, pushes the ball at a pace that I like it to be pushed at. Leakey's maybe as versatile after 6 or 7 practices as anybody I've ever had, but he's gifted also. I mean, so I like all of them.
Roy, how much did you have to manage Cameron Johnson with a hip last year in practice, or limiting overuse or anything like that?
Not as much during the year. I mean, we were always aware of it and perhaps subbed him more or gave him a few more days here and there, but I think after the surgery, because we went as slow as you could possibly go this summer. I mean, he was mad at everybody because he wanted to get out there and be able to play earlier. So I think Doug and the doctors really did a great job, and he looks like he's moving more freely. Looks like he doesn't have as much pain, doesn't look as stiff. So I think it's really been helpful, but I think we went really, really slow on him after the season, much more so than during the season.
You mentioned areas where you were still looking for people to step up, step forward. What areas are those that are of concern to you?
I'd like somebody to definitely establish that they're the big guy that's going to get the most time on the floor. You know, it's been harder. Huff hadn't practiced yet. He's getting him into half-court stuff, I guess, this week, but he hadn't gone up and down at all, so that's hurt him. Sterling and Garrison and Walker have all had their moments, but I'd really like somebody to step up and say, I'm the best, and show it every day. At the point guard, 7th has been there, and first game in Nassau played well. Second game he didn't play. Kobe was outstanding. But we're giving Leakey some opportunities there as well. But even there, I'd still say the same thing. I like it if one guy really steps up and says, you got to play me more than you play anybody else.
With the big guys, is there a little bit of a sense of deja vu there? I feel like this is a conversation we've had before about wanting one of those that group to step.
Yeah, and very similar. You know, I'm stubborn. I want to try to play 2 bigs, but if that's not what's best, then we've done it. I guess if I did it again this year, this would be the 3rd time. I guess P.J. Harrison was our 4-man at some point, and Luke was a 5-man last year, and Theo and Cam and those guys played 4. But so if we had to do it, I would still do it, but I'd feel more comfortable the other way.
How are Garrison and Sterling notably different than last year?
Not as much as I would like for them to be, but Sterling's made the running test that we've given the team so far. Neither one of the big guys, I guess means just 1 or 2. None of the big guys. Is that correct, Barry? Am I using that properly?
I think it's either way.
Either way, okay. Neither could be 4, because we got 4 big guys. Neither of those 4 then have stepped forward, but all of them have gotten a little better, but not at the level that I wanted them to get better yet.
Coach, can you talk about what Kenny Williams has meant to this program and what you expect of him this year?
Well, I hope it's really a breakout season for everybody else. I thought it was a breakout season for me, the way he played last year, because he was so consistent defensively and had games where he really shot the ball. In other games he didn't do it as much, and I wanted him to be not a first-half player, not a second-half scorer. I wanted him to be able to score in both halves. But I thought he really had a good year for us, and he's been one of the really good leaders so far in the preseason, and he's our best perimeter defender, and I think he's even better this year than he was last year. I've been using him as an example for the other guys, but he's been shooting the ball in the hole as well too. He he and Cam have shot it better than anybody else so far. But he's a fun guy to be around, and you really just hope that things break well for him because he is such a great kid.
You mentioned Sterling passed the run test. Can you kind of break down like how that happened, what went into it? Because that was kind of a big deal last year with him not passing.
Well, see, every year, no, I shouldn't say it like that. Last time we went to Nassau, and then also that team had done a great job academically in summer school. And so this year we went to Nassau, we had those games. We got back the night before classes started, and the kids had done a great job in summer school academically with their grades. So we didn't do the 12-minute run 4 years ago. We didn't do it this year. I keep threatening him, but I'm going to take him back out there and make him do it anyway. But so it's been a little easier, but he passed the 33 test. He passed the mile run test, and we have 3 things that we normally do, but this year we just did 2 of them just exactly like we did 4 years ago when we went to Nassau.
What have you seen from Seventh Woods following, sort of an injury-plagued sophomore season?
Really, he's been injured ever since his senior in high school. He was injured most of the year his senior year and didn't play in any of the things after his senior because he was hurt. But he's doing a much better job of pushing the pace, much better job of taking the ball to the basket. And it just boils down, I'm pretty easy on point guards. Don't turn the sucker over and stay in front of the ball. If you do those, I can work with you about anyway. And so that's what he's got to focus on.
Having been through a summer after the FBI investigation, did you notice any changes in recruiting, or is it just the same as always?
It's a massive thing that's still going on, and I'm just dumbfounded. And I had somebody criticize me to say he shouldn't have been dumbfounded. Well, excuse me, I have a right to have my own feelings. That world that they're explaining out there, that world that's on national news, I am not familiar with, period. And 30 years as a head coach, I've never had anybody ask me for money. I've never asked any shoe company to recruit for me. I've never asked anybody other than the family what's most important to you. So that world that people are acting like it goes on all the time, it does not go on. That is a world that I am not familiar with. It's like Jack Nicklaus saying that Tiger Woods playing a game no, he's not familiar with, okay? I'm not familiar with that world. I'm serious, guys. Never had one person ask me for anything in 30 years. Not one. And never asked a shoe company to do anything for me. Don't particularly like agents, and yet they're involved in this whole deal, and then we have a very intelligent group of people that give agents more access. So there's a lot of confusion going on in my brain right now, but that's a sad state of affairs for people to think that that's all that goes on in college athletics, because that's not all that goes on in college athletics. There's a tremendous majority of people that do it the right way, and a tremendous majority of kids and families that want it done the right way. So not compared to what we had done, we had to go deal with over the years, but this has just been very sad for me to see because some people think that goes, I listen to people on TV and the talk shows and everything else said, yeah, it doesn't mean it goes on everywhere. It does not, and I'm not familiar with that world.
Do you think you've been maybe shielded a bit to that stuff by being at Kansas and now UNC, the blue blood schools that maybe don't need to go to that?
Owen High School wasn't a blue blood school, but I never did anything unethically and immoral for a kid. And every institution has an opportunity to make decisions how they want to do it, regardless of where you are. And that's not because I'm in North Carolina, and not because I was at Kansas. It's because that I was trained to do it the right way. I've tried to get my coaches to do it the right way, and I'm not the only one. There's a tremendous majority of people who have not been in that world that I'm hearing described right now.
Do you feel like you lost the recruit any time along the way because of shady dealings like that? Even though you're not in that world, that world kind of...
We make a lot of decisions if we think the situation doesn't look like it's our kind of ball game. But that could be for millions of reasons. A guy doesn't want to play defense, wants to shoot it every time, doesn't want to run across the 10-second line. I might stop recruiting for that. But I'm serious. I have 31, you start my 31st year. I have never had one person. I've never talked to a shoe company guy, said, would you help us with this? I've never done that. And I'm not the only guy either. I'm a guy that thinks this one's 3/4 full. I'm a guy that thinks the glass is half full, and I think college basketball is much more than half full. We do some great things. I had a person on one of the committees to sit with me at a game this summer in the Peach Jam. And at the end of the game, and it was a great game, 5 points in 1 second by the same kid, wins the game. And I asked the person that was sitting with me, I said, now tell me what was wrong with this game. Tell me what was wrong with what you just saw. He said, absolutely nothing. And you're darn right, there's a lot of great things that have gone on in summer basketball too.
With the full season in Chapel Hill now under his belt, how's Cam Johnson sort of maturing as a leader for your team?
I think he has matured, and I think he is much more of a leader. I think last year he was very cautious about stepping in front of Joel and Theo, and I think he's very comfortable. I mean, the guys he lives with, Luke and Kenny, and I think that's the Three Stooges really do a great job.
How important is that bond, do you think, to keeping the other guys in check too?
I think it's important, but at the end of the day, you got to take care of your own self. You got to do your job. You can have other people emphasize it to you as much as you want, but bottom line is you got to do it yourself. And all three of those guys really are good leaders, but that doesn't mean that they're going to make Seventh do something or Kobe do something. They can emphasize to them what's important and use their experience and tell them of experiences that they've had. But at the end of the day, everybody's got to make their own decisions.
You've got the 3 titles, you've been in the Hall of Fame for a while, you got the court now named for you. Is the fire in your belly any different now than the fire you would have felt 30 years ago?
How did you feel about my statements about our game? I mean, seriously, guys, there's a huge majority of coaches I would love to coach my grandsons. So now, come on, don't tell me that just because something happened over there or over here or everywhere, okay, because it does not happen everywhere. So I'd sort of answer the question like that right there. I still think there's quite a bit of fire in the belly. If you don't believe me, ask the kids how they felt after Saturday morning's practice. I told them the next 48 hours was going to be the greatest 48 hours they'd had because they weren't going to see me for that time period, and they agreed. I went down to Wrightsville and saw a lot of damage to a lot of homes, a lot of people's lives changed. So again, it was, I love what I'm doing. I love trying to get all you guys to move in the same direction and in one team. And that's what I've tried to do my whole life, and it's what I'm trying to do with this team. And they're fun guys to be around. We voted last night on who we thought was going to win between the Yankees and the Red Sox. And half of them sucked up because they chose the Yankees because they know I'm a big Yankees fan. So the penalty today is not going to be quite as much as it would have been if the Red Sox had lost. But I enjoy my moments with the guys on the court, in the locker room, in practice, in games, and doing different things.
Coach, first of all, how are you and how was your summer? And also, Tiger won, and I want to know, where were you in that moment?
Yeah. I've watched almost every shot he's made, either live on TV or at late night replay. But as I've said before, I really have a tremendous amount of respect for the focus that he has. The only other guy I've ever seen that had the skills and focus like that was Michael Jordan. And so I loved watching Tiger. I was surprised. I wanted him to be very successful, but he has so far surpassed what I thought he'd be able to come back and do. And that's probably made me even admire him even more. But, the Ryder Cup sort of put a bad ending on what everybody was so excited about there at the end. But my summer, it was busy. Good thing is I had no surgery. Good thing is all those people had taken all of my money on the golf course. I got some of it back. I got my handicap back in single digits, first time in 3 years, and had been between a 3 and an 8 for 41 years. And so I had a good summer. And the littlest one was a year old last Sunday, and so I've had a good time.
Roy, you talk about Swananoa Days a lot. Is that what we're missing now, the community, the way the community would just feed into the high schools? And we're losing that, I think. Is there any way to get that back?
I don't think so. I think that horse has left the barn. When I was in school and even when I was coaching, the private schools, most of them couldn't compete with the public schools, and now it's the other way around. And some of the best high school kids are getting together to play on the same private school teams, and it's something that we see at the NBA level as well. But you know, a lot of our guys. I mean, a couple of years ago we had B-Rob in 7th and Tony Bradley, and they all played in their community school for their entire lives. But you don't see that each and every year. It gets to be more and more that kids go somewhere to play. But some of the reasons are fantastic reasons too, and I think you got to look at it individually. But I do believe that that'll continue happening. But some kids go just to want to have more focus, more competition every day to reach their own dreams.
The
Time for a
NBA 's
couple
gonna
more
get-
questions.
NBA is gonna get involved at some point in this grassroots part of it. Do you have confidence that they'll figure it out? Or?
You can't figure it out. I don't care how smart you think you are, you ain't gonna figure it out. NCAA, you heard me last year, started in 1906 because people were cheating in college football. President Roosevelt said we got to have a governing body.
Coach,
1906 to right now is a long time. We still got problems. You can't legislate morality. You can't legislate honesty, and you got to try to do the best you can. But you know, I think that there are some changes that are already being made that are good, and there are some changes that are being made that I think are bad. You know, I think change is always not for the good. Change is always change, but sometimes change is worse also.
Coach, the amount of players that come back to this school and for you is something that you don't really see across the board in many colleges. What do you think that says about you and this program that players just come back and just love on you?
Well, I think, you know, go back to Coach McGuire and bringing Coach Smith in, and that's the guy that taught me more off the court than he ever did on the court about dealing with people, and I'll never be as good as he was. But I'm still benefiting from his idea of what a basketball program should be, and I'm very lucky to be benefiting from that. And it's a neat feeling, you know, but everybody, it's like all of you guys in here, we're not going to agree on everything. All of my players don't think I'm as good as some of the other players do. Some of them say great things, and other ones nod their head and go on. You know, so I realize that. But I think all of them will understand too that what I've been trying to do is the best I could do. But it's been a neat summer for things like that. Yeah.
Agree with this.
Coach, you have an opening at point guard. What are you seeing from the guys vying for that spot, and what do you want to see from the guys that are competing for that role?
As I said earlier, I think that 7th has gotten better. I think Kobe's coming fast. But again, guys, unless you tell me that I'm playing tomorrow for my life, I don't think I have to make a decision today. So there's going to be quite a bit of time yet. And I remember, it's not very important, but I cut a guy after the first night of JV practice and let him come back because he said he was sick. So I let him come back, and he ended up starting for us. You know, so we don't have to make any decisions now.
Jonathan, Coach, what do you expect the identity of this team will be, or is that something you find out when the season gets going?
Yeah, I think the identity comes when you face some adversity once you get started and see how guys pull together, how guys handle the less playing time, and how somebody else handles more playing time. I think you get all that later on.
Andrew?
I believe the opener next month is the earliest opener the program has had. If you reach the title game, I think it's the latest the program will have played a game.
I'd take that.
Yeah, how do you prepare for the grind, how taxing the season is?
You know, guys, I was coaching one year in probably 93, 94, 95 season. Practice started November 1st. It's the only year that ever happened because it'd always been October 15th. And then all of a sudden we said November 1st. I was happy. We played in the preseason NIT. We were the first team to play. We had like 16 practices, but it was fine. The season's really, really long. Really long. I mean, our guys are getting 9 days off in the month of October. And but I wish we could wait a little longer and that kind of thing. But, you know, again, people make decisions or suggestions or rules for the right reason, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Is there something that you do physically or mentally to prepare for the grind? Because you kind of get
Oh, me
lost in-
physically, mentally, yeah. I try to keep working all the time because at my age, you don't take 2 months off and then try to say, oh, practice starts tomorrow, let's go run a mile. You know, so I try to work out all the time for my body, and also so I can eat what I want to eat. I like desserts. And so I already did yoga for an hour this morning. I walked for 52 minutes at lunch, and half of that is, 20% is because it's healthy, but the rest of it's so I can eat what I want to eat.
Coach,
If you guys-
last one.
Coach, I'm sure you've seen a lot of speculation about Nasir being a top 5 pick. Have you guys had that conversation yet? Was that something to come up later, or?
That we have not had that conversation. Okay, it's my job is to win, or I'm going to get fired. And my job 1A is to help each player reach their own individual dreams and goals. And I realize it's 1 and 1A, but I don't think we're at that point that right now he's trying to make sure he can make his running times and remember what position he's playing and whether he's got on a white shirt and a blue shirt. So I don't think he's thinking anything else other than that. And before we go to, because I was asked this morning twice, I'm surprised that you guys didn't. I was stunned. I'm going to say so anyway, okay.
You ask him.
Yeah, no, I'm just telling you, just in case somebody, what happened is we had 2 scheduled events. We had an exhibition game with a smaller school in our state that we've done for years. I think maybe my first year, we said all of our exhibition games were going to be against teams in our own state so we could give them some money to help their program. And we've, since they gave us the opportunity to split it, we played a scrimmage, a private scrimmage. And we've done that and had great feelings about the people we were scrimmaging with. And then all of a sudden our state and South Carolina had a terrible tragedy, a horrific storm come through, whatever you want to call it. And I called Frank to see if he would be interested in playing a game. And we would ask for you all right back there, kid? Yeah. Okay, looked like something was falling apart on your camera there. So I called him, said nobody's been hurt as badly as we have in North Carolina and South Carolina with Florence. And we asked for a waiver to see if we could play. I'm not trying to gain advantage on anybody. I don't think we can gain advantage on anybody. But we were willing to play each other. I wanted to take it to Charlotte because it'd be closer between the 2 schools and play a game and give all the money to all the money. And I was going to try to convince a guy that I know pretty well that owns the building in Charlotte to give us a great rate and instead of a bad rate. And I was dumbfounded when the waiver was not granted. And I'm a guy that, I don't think you have to treat everybody alike. I want you to treat everybody fairly, but I was stunned. I'm sad that it didn't go, but, I thought our political scene in the world right now is not very good, so we got one Democratic governor and one Republican governor, I think, so I really thought this would be the first time politicians would get together. But needless to say, they said that we couldn't do it, and so I've been asked every time I turn around, and that's all it was. We asked for a waiver. I still don't understand why we didn't get it. Some rule had been put in that they weren't going to give waivers, but we already had the other 2 games. And guys, if you can convince me how that was going to help North Carolina's basketball team or South Carolina's basketball team over somebody else, then I'll listen to it. But that was not the intent. We were just trying to, when you see the scenes, people's stuff out on the street, you want to do something. And that's sadly what we saw. We saw so many situations, people losing everything they have. And we had what I thought was one of the few good ideas I've ever had. And that was even a Roy originally. It wasn't anybody else. All right.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good day.